Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and pleasure to welcome you in this very strange COVID environment, virtually and digitally, to the 7th Nordic Baltic Sustainable Business Summit 2020. As I started with saying, this is a very strange times that we are having there, and looking back for the 7 years that we were having the Sustainability Summit here, we've discussed a number of topics during these 7 years. Remembering 3 years ago, we were talking about integrating sustainability into the business strategies. 2 years ago, we were talking about digitalization and artificial intelligence and how it impacts sustainability. Last year, we were talking about the circular economy and how we can contribute to our lives, businesses being greener. 2020 definitely puts sustainability to the tests. And when together with all the organizers, we were thinking about that topic and the main theme of this year, I think that we could not avoid the topic of COVID. And then the biggest question, dilemma question that we have given to ourselves was is it a test to sustainability? Will we see the crisis of sustainability because of the cost saving, because of the downturn of the economy, because of the focus to business, business, and business? Or it will be a door opening opportunity for having new and more sustainable environment on the global level, on the national level, on the industry, on the business level, and of course on our personal levels. So today we will be discussing how with the COVID situation, within the post-COVID world, we can have more sustainability and more opportunities combined. I'm Liudas Jurkonis, and it's a great honor to be moderating this discussion for the 7th year in a row. I really appreciate the opportunity and the opportunity to moderate the discussions, which will be, I'm sure, very interesting. Today we will have a rather short but very intensive discussion, starting with the opening words from the Ambassador of Finland, from the Lithuanian, if I can say so, Commissioner in the EU. We will have distinguished guests, really business people who will be having the presentations, and we will be wrapping up in the panel discussion about today's topic. So I'm really excited and waiting for this to happen in a couple of minutes. It goes without saying that, as every year, I'm really greatly happy and really sending my biggest thanks to the ambassadors of the Nordic countries, who are not only representing their countries, but as always, they are the true ambassadors of the sustainability. So thank you very much. And my thanks goes not only to the ambassadors, but also to those who contributed to this event happening. So the respective Nordic chambers of commerce in Lithuania, the Council of Ministers, the Nordic Council of Ministers in Lithuania, the Lithuanian Responsible Business Association, the hosts of today, the Thailand Garden, and all of the others who contributed to this happening today. Thank you very much. Now, how I was structuring the discussion and what are the angles that I would like to touch during the discussions, both on the panel, but also individually. The pandemic has touched every single of us, as I said, on the personal, on the business level, on the industry level, on the country level. So I would like to explore these layers of COVID impact and to see where we can grasp the opportunities for being more sustainable in every layer. And just a reminder, sustainability is not only about the environment. It's not only about, being more integral. It has the four main pillars which I would like to touch upon. Firstly, This is the environmental topic, which I think is the most popular and most common now to talk. But I would not like to forget the angle of people, the labor force, really, because we are the part of business, we are the part of the society. The third one is the society, how we treat societies in the difficult situations, and whether we pay respect, how we communicate, what's the communication and dialogue platform that we're having. Last but not least, it will be touched on the corporate governance and business integrity. So these four pillars, they do interact with the pandemic quite closely, and I would like to really discuss them through during the discussion. So without further ado, and not burning the time here, I would like to invite the Ambassador of Finland, Ms. Arja Makonen, for the opening speech and for the opening remarks. Welcome, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody, dear distinguished guests, dear speakers, dear participants, a few here present, and most of you somewhere out there, I hope, at your computers and listening to this. Thank you for being present at the Nordic Baltic Sustainable Summit 2020. It is a great pleasure for me as well to welcome you to this 2-hour event to discuss sustainability from different angles. In Brussels, we have Commissioner Virginijus Sinkevicius, responsible for environment, oceans, and fisheries. A lot of issues linked to sustainability fall under your supervision. How the new growth strategy, Green Deal, can help achieve climate neutrality, and how to put European countries on a more sustainable path. Recovery and Resilience Facility will give extra boost into investments to, for example, circular economy, to transport sector, to clean tech, and so on. So new business opportunities for innovative companies. Don't lose the moment. We will also hear about business opportunities in Lithuania, impact of pandemic on sustainability. The pandemic crisis will give us an opportunity to rethink how we consume and how we live. Yesterday I learned that the building of Finland's first quantum computer will begin. I think the technologies will give us tools to solve global problems and create sustainable growth. The keynote speaker this year is Neste Vice President responsible for sustainability, Mrs. Salla Ahonen. Neste was ranked as the world's most sustainable company on the Global 100 Index, which is published every year during World Economic Forum in Davos. We are eager to hear how Neste has managed to rise to the forefront of sustainable business worldwide. You are all warmly welcome to share your thoughts. I would like to take this opportunity to inform you that Finland will take the responsibility of the presidency of the Nordic Council of Ministers in January. The Nordic vision is that the Nordic region will be the most sustainable and integrated region in the world by 2030. To achieve this goal, the Nordic Council of Ministers is working for a greener, more competitive and more socially sustainable Nordic region. As a result of a pandemic, one topical theme is ensuring the security of supply and preparedness for future crises. I would like to thank all Nordic chambers for commerce here in Lithuania, and of course, especially now, the chair of Finnish chamber, Finnish-Lithuanian chamber, Rubina Haapamäki, and her team for excellent work to make this event happen. I wish you all an interesting session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that the ambassador supplemented me in her opening speech with everything what I forgot to say, right? So we will have it, a hybrid conference and summit today. So it is streamed online. We have a few participants here present. So, but having said that, the fact that you are through the screen, looking at us through the screen, does not limit to be participating here in the summit. So I would highly appreciate if you would comment at every presentation and put your questions into the comments, and I will do my best to select the best ones and to answer as much as possible of them, either during the presentations or during the panel discussion. So thank you very, very much once again, Ambassador. And now I hope that we do have the Commissioner online, and that Virginius will be able to join us for his opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are able to hear me and see me well. First of all, of course, thank you for this invitation to address the summit. Today, you are addressing an absolutely vital question, one that we have to tackle head on. It's very important to have these discussions out in the open so that everyone truly understands what's at stake and what we are trying to do. You have to have public support, buy-in for sustainability. Shareholders have to understand the case for these business decisions. So I'm very pleased to contribute. Sustainability now goes to the heart of the European project, but it won't work without citizens on board. We live quite tough times now. The pandemic has revealed a number of vulnerabilities in many current systems, but it has also opened up new opportunities. Given the scale of the pandemic and scale of its impact, it's easy to forget about everything else. But there are many more challenges hovering in the background, and they haven't gone away. Air pollution, climate change, biodiversity loss, unsustainable use of resources, they will continue. And they reveal a world out of balance, a world where the basic needs of billions of people are not being met, and yet we are far beyond many planetary boundaries. Every year there is a great report by the World Economic Forum, which publishes a global risks. So it's so-called the Global Risk Report. And this year, for the first time, climate change and related environmental issues are in the top 5 risks in terms of likelihood and impact for the next 10 years. I single out that report, but there are many others, all equally respectable, based and backed by science, that tell us the same thing. They show us there is no time left for short-term fixes. The defining task for our generation is how we tackle these challenges. What do we do to stop the climate change, biodiversity loss, and environmental degradation? It's a task for us all, for citizens, for governments, and policymakers, and for businesses. The solution proposed by the EU is set out in the European Green Deal. First of all, it's a growth strategy. Growth strategy for Europe, a plan to build a smarter, more sustainable, more resilient economy. An economy that proposes solutions for the long term while leaving no one behind. And the Green Deal is also at the heart of the Commission's recovery proposal. The idea is to tackle environmental challenges in a systemic manner. That means that each element is crafted to ensure it delivers multiple wins. We have already put on the table many components. We now have a proposal for a climate law to become climate neutral by 2050 and a plan to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, at least by 55%. With its promise to become the world's first fossil-free country by 2050, Sweden has challenged us to follow its example. We have a new action plan for the circular economy at the heart of the recovery plan. We have new strategies for biodiversity and farm to fork, a chemical strategy for sustainability, and an 8th environment action program that will help us measure progress towards our environmental goals over the next decade. And of course, we now have a massive 750 billion euros recovery plan. As we frame, design, and implement these plans, we need to remember that we are actually borrowing from our future generations. It is the next generation that will foot this bill in the longer term. we owe it to them to use this money wisely. I always say that you can invest only once, and to invest in the future, their livelihoods and their well-being with a constant focus on sustainability is a key priority. That's why before these funds are disbursed, member states need to send the Commission their recovery and resilience plans for assessment. And as EU ministers decided in Council, a positive assessment will depend on the plans containing an effective contribution to twin transition, green and digital. The Nordic and Baltic countries, with their abundant natural resources, are in excellent position to benefit from these new EU priorities. There are opportunities in many different sectors, because this really is a deal for business as well. Public money can only provide a small part of the green investments needed. The lion's share will come from the private sector. Both the Green Deal and the new Circular Economy Action Plan offer a coherent vision for sustainable and resilient business models, which are biodiversity friendly, low carbon, and circular. One example might be stronger cooperation between the agricultural and forestry sectors for a more comprehensive approach to ecosystem services and integrating biodiversity preservation into other sectors such as transport, agriculture, tourism. Investing in the circular economy is another example. So circular economy not only helps to reduce the environmental and climate footprints of our production and consumption systems, but also generates significant cost savings for businesses. Today, only 12% of materials we use in Europe are reused or recycled. The EU is doing slightly better than the global average, but we still need to do far more. In addition to the immediate savings for companies involved, it would also strengthen the EU's strategic autonomy and reduce our reliance on third countries for critical raw materials. A big step towards a Europe back in balance. I'm sure the word sustainability will come back a lot today. I'd like to finish my speech with two thoughts on this. First, let's keep in mind the biodiversity angle. A sustainable business is one that has thought about its impact on biodiversity and mapped its dependence on natural capital. If that's not part of your daily management practices, you're not in balance. You don't qualify as sustainable. And then secondly, we have to keep coming back to finance. Too many companies still focus on short-term financial performance rather than long-term development. That's not the path to sustainability. Next year, the Commission will present a new strategy for sustainable finance with a view to providing citizens and investors with better information. It's part of our efforts to embed sustainability more deeply in the corporate governance framework. There are many good reasons for doing that. Investments in sustainable solutions provide significant competitive advantages. The recovery will be a global race, and Europe will have to work hard to stay in the lead. The rest of the world is moving fast. If we stand still, we'll lose our front-runner status. Europe will never win by lowering taxes or cutting wages and pension systems, nor will we win by sacrificing our health or health of our children. Our focus has to remain on sustainability for the longer term, on getting the world back into balance. That's the Green Deal, that's the recovery, and certainly that's the future. Let me wish you all the best for the fruitful discussions today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Commissioner. Really, it's a great honor, a great pleasure to have you here. And I'm sure that you will be with us during the whole summit there. And I'm anxious to see your comment and your question coming up as well. I think that the Commissioner has pointed out some really great things, great topics here, starting from the strategic ones, supranational, going to the national levels, again, going to every business that has to take care and balance the short-term, long-term vision and have the sustainability at the core of the strategy. I'm sure that next year, with EU pushing the Green Bill, we might have a topic about coming back to having a non-financial sustainable reporting being discussed, how to make it happen. Now, I think that I will touch upon one thing that the commissioner said. I hope, as we did all these years during the summits, that this discussion and this summit will not only be, a discussion per se, that we will take the key topics and key ideas, and as we have the new government being formed today, and the new powers being formed today, that we will take the key ideas and bring them to the new government, at least that they could hear the best thoughts from the best businesses being represented today. So I think that we have covered the opening remarks, and we can move to the discussions. And I think that the first topic that will be touched by Rokas Masiulis, by the former Minister of Transport and Communication, by the current professional board member, will be the first topic that was loudly discussed in the very beginning of the pandemic. The disruption of the supply chains, the disruption of the logistical chains was something at the very, very core that has shaken the world. Right? Again, crisis, risks, disruptions, and many, many issues that the world has faced. And then there is an opportunity. The opportunity for the nearshoring, for bringing the productions closer to the core of the Europe. And again, the question is how? What are the opportunities, and how this production and manufacturing processes will be constructed in Lithuania? For we would have the nearshoring possibilities, more sustainable, and giving more opportunities for us as a country, for us as a region, and for us as European Union. So, Rokas, the floor is yours, and very happy to have you here today with us.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Commissioner, Your Excellency Ambassador, honorable guests, dear speakers. I like the name of the summit, post-COVID world, which indicates that this terrible disease sooner or later will be gone. I always try to look at the world from a positive side, as any threat always gives you an opportunity. We are living already almost a year within COVID environment. We have learned a lot about this disease. We have heard news yesterday that another vaccine producer from United States, Moderna, probably also has a vaccine which is 94% working. We had last week Pfizer announcing similar thing. We have a pipeline of 4 more front runners in vaccine production. So we should understand that this thing will be gone sooner or later. You can't bet against a human being because human being is so innovative, so creative, and also always rises to the challenges. So thinking about post-COVID world is probably the best way we can address this situation. When we talk about logistics chains, it doesn't really seem that disruptions were very significant. First of a pack of big economies to rise was China, and China quarter after quarter already producing fantastic results, both in production, in exports, as well as imports. And after China, I believe the rest will come. We've seen last few weeks, we had already United States results of production indexes going up, European indexes are also going up. So economy is adapting to the COVID, and when COVID will be gone, it will be firing on all cylinders as it has had before. So how Lithuania would look in post-COVID world, it will probably look the same as it looked before, with more opportunities coming in because of the world growing, world economy is growing, and China changing its policy on transportation of goods. Probably every one of you have heard Road and Belt Initiative of China, which in summary says that China is trying to push as many goods as possible on land rather than on sea. Quite a few years ago, China was exporting almost everything by ships, by seas, and now it's pushing on land. So starting from China, going into Kazakhstan, going into Russia, from Russia coming to Belarus, from Belarus to Lithuania or to Poland mostly. Those goods on railroad are being pushed to European Union. And through the ports, go to Nordics as well. So this is the main traffic of goods in our world, in our part of the world right now, and will be for foreseeable future. Chinese flows are growing 30 to 40% each year. Number of trains is increasing rapidly. Now it's 10,000 of trains leaving China going to Europe and back. 5% of it goes through Lithuania, only 5%. But if Chinese flow is growing, so this 5% is getting definitely bigger. To understand how flows are operating, you also should understand geopolitics as well. If China is addressing goods to European Union, not China is calling the last direction of this flow, but Russia, because most of the time those goods are traveling through Russia. So Russia ultimately decides which direction, leaving Russia, it will go. So for example, Belarusians can't change their mind and change flow of Chinese trains, for example, towards Lithuania, if in papers which are issued by Russian railroad company, it says that it has to go through the Brest and to Poland. So geopolitics, of course, works. So Lithuania is not in favorable position here because of our relations with Russia. But economy also works because Chinese flow is growing so fast. So Russian ports, other routes are not capable of handling such big number of traffic. So ultimately, part of it has to spill through Lithuania. Currently, in Lithuania, there is a map of Lithuania, and we can see that main logistic points in Lithuania. So if we have goods coming from Belarus to Chinese goods from Belarus coming into Lithuania, most of them go straight to Kaliningrad and either shipped through Kaliningrad port or through Kaliningrad Polish border they go into Poland and later to Europe. So biggest opportunity which we have for future is developing route to Klaipėda port. If other routes will be jammed, or if there would be any mood change in Russia or China, there is a big possibility for Lithuania to enhance shipments through Klaipėda port. Second, Kaunas area. Kaunas is being built in Lithuania as a huge central logistical hub, which comprises railroad, road traffic, because it goes straight to via Baltic and to Poland and Europe, as well as Kaunas airport, which is best suited for cargo because of its long runway and other facilities best suitable for cargo flow. So Kaunas for Lithuania is a central cargo station where all modes of transportation combine together. So if this Chinese flow is growing, when ultimately it will be reloaded not in Kaliningrad, but will be reloaded on European tracks in Kaunas. So there is a huge possibility for everybody, for producers, because any logistical center is being grown around with businesses supporting it, which ultimately will spill into production development as well. So because of our very favorable geographical position, Lithuania has a huge possibility for developing, for gaining on logistic flows through our country. And to give you an example, when I was the Minister of Transportation and was visiting China, I had a meeting with the Commission, which is handling all of the export routes from China. We are working on logistics, where goods should be go. So head of this commission was not even hiding. He said, look, Lithuania is on perfect geographical spot, and Chinese goods will go through Lithuania one way or another. He mentioned two places which are best suited for them. That's Klaipėda and Gdansk. And if you look at the map, angles of transportation are the shortest, and routes are shortest if you go to those two ports. So Lithuania is destined to have a business grow because of this. Nordic flows, for example, a few numbers. EU and China trade is 260 billion euros of imports and 104 billion in exports. We clearly see that Europe is lagging far behind China, and our trade deficit is very significant. So huge opportunities lay there as well. If Lithuania would like to attract more cargo from China, we have to make sure that we accumulate enough cargo to send the other way, because that makes the most favorable business conditions for train business. You can't send empty trains one direction and full trains other direction and have good business. You have to send both directions, full trains, loaded trains, so it is the most cost efficient. So Chinese are extremely interested in packing up in any logistics centers as many goods as possible to send them back, because that adds to their business model as well. So here, we believe that Lithuania is greatly positioned to accumulate Nordic exports to China. And Nordics are exporting quite a lot to China, almost 6 billion euros each year and growing. China exports to Nordics 9 billion euros. Mostly Nordics exporting machinery, chemicals, foodstuff, which are perfectly capable being packed in Klaipėda, loaded on track and sent to China. So our port, our train company, railroad company are working on this opportunity. I believe this is a good opportunity also for the Nordic countries to work on this, as one way or another traffic has to go through somewhere. And if it's Lithuania, so that would be to mutual benefit. Also, there is a significant trade, Nordic and Russian trade. Nordics import 5 billion, export 3 billion to Russia. But of course, Russia would always use or try to use their own ports, as Russia has a philosophy of using their own facilities preferably. So probably this is not the area where we can benefit too much. A few words on air transportation, and this is probably worth mentioning. worth mentioning that there is a one thing where European rules, strict rules on government assistance are not working and not assisting small countries. Maybe other Nordic countries can't consider themselves big, but on passenger traffic, on airport traffic, they are rather big, so they wouldn't understand biggest issues which we have here. That's because of the low traffic numbers of the passengers, you need to have a support for airlines for them to be interested in operating from your airport, but this is forbidden by EU rules. So clearly what has to be done, certain exemptions has to be done. For example, for Greek islands, for other European countries which have islands, it's clearly allowed to have a government support for airlines, but not here. And for example, Vilnius is not so small. We have over 5 million traffic. So 5 million is a threshold when airport becomes interesting for airlines. But for Tallinn, which has 2 million, a little bit over 2 million, it's clearly a very, very big issue. So this is where European and maybe our commissioner can help with this and fixing situation so accessibility for Lithuania would be increased. So summing up, I would like to point few topics of importance. As I said, mostly comes from in growth of China goods and everything accompanied with it. So Kaunas terminal, Klaipėda port. Also, Lithuania was successful in attracting Chinese postal services to become one of few postal hubs. So now a lot of European mail is being first sorted here in Lithuania and then sent by trucks to Europe. This is a big achievement for our post. And biggest growth will come from businesses development around logistic facilities, where business has to be very, very sharp focused on flow development, because spillover to other businesses will be significant as well. I don't have too much time left, so I would not touch too much on new airport development, but we have a big plans in Lithuania on new airport development. And maybe shortly to notice that Lithuania also became an LNG hub for this part of the Baltic. We have a terminal, we have developed business around it. So since LNG is cleanest fuel available so far in the sea, it brings a lot of opportunities for us and as well other countries which are more shipping strong in shipping. So thank you very much. And if you will have any questions, I'll answer them according to the rules of the summit.
Rokas, I would have, right? Firstly, thank you very much for a very interesting presentation and really, I would say, inspirational, full of the opportunities for the Lithuania. So the key takeaway, at least for myself, there are two takeaway messages that I heard. One, Lithuania is really perfectly positioned and genuinely is in the perfect spot to manage the flows, right? So this is one. Second one, I understand that the diversification of the transportation means and the variety of the transportation means is something also as a huge plus to Lithuania. Now, the question is, and yes, aviation and air connectivity is an issue, is a challenge that we must solve. And I heard the discussions about even not only about the development of the new airport, but also creating the virtual airline in Lithuania. So this is something that I hear being discussed on the top level and the national level. Now, the question that I would like to give to you, Rokas, is about the sustainability angle in transportation. Do you believe that the more sustainable transport mean is a more competitive one? Do our clients, whether they would be in Western Europe or in East, are looking for the more sustainable and more efficient transportation means? Do they distinguish the sustainability in the means of transportation?
I wouldn't say that it is extremely strong emphasis on this so far, but the world is changing, and we see when your friend is planning to buy a diesel Audi or other car, how do you look at him or her? So this public attitude will affect one way or another. Lithuania is extremely strong in trucking, so owners and managers of trucking business are clearly understand that dealing with the European Union, you have to become as green as possible. So focus there is already, but in trucking we don't have an electric truck yet. Tesla is there, almost there. Nikola is building another one, but still, there is no one producing electric truck yet. But when they will come, I think the same will be as with electric vehicles. We are focused on it already in airplane, in aviation. It will come with development of planes. In trains, most of the trains are already diesel run. Klaipėda is building, Lithuanian railroads are building an electrical locomotive here in Lithuania, or developing one. Probably it would not be used for long runs, but inside port, inside cargo areas, it will be functional, operational. So maybe time will come. But answering shortly, yet emphasis is not extremely strong there.
Good. Thank you very much, Rokas. I will save the other questions into my pocket when you are here with a panel discussion for us. So for now, thank you very much. And when listening to Rokas, I think that Rokas' presentation was a very good warm-up and a bridge to the keynote speech of today. I will not repeat what has been said by Her Excellence, the Ambassador of Finland. I would just say that I hope, with fingers crossed, that we do have Ms. Sala Ahonen, the Neste Vice President for Sustainability, with us, and I would give her a virtual floor to give a keynote of today. So Sala, welcome.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I was so hoping to be there in person, but this will have to do. I hope you can hear me well. It's been a very exciting morning so far. So I'm hoping that we can add some flavor to it from a Neste point of view also. So just a quick recap. So Neste is the company that many of you may know from the past as an oil refining company. Last year, 80% of the profits came from renewable businesses. So there is the renewable road transport diesel. So this is probably what most people are aware of. And then we also have the sustainable aviation fuel. And this is also something that already exists. It's a product, it's not science fiction. So completely already out there on the market. And then we have renewable polymers and chemicals, which is also something that we're very much looking at in the future. If we're thinking about what are the big sustainability problems that the world is facing at the moment, there's definitely climate, and then there's the other one, the plastic waste problem. So I feel very, very happy about working for a company that is offering solutions for both of these problems that we all have. So I already mentioned that, some people may remember Neste as an oil refining company, and this is exactly where the company is coming from. So it was founded in 1948 with the purpose of securing Finland's oil supply. And then for quite a number of years, that was enough for Neste to be an oil refining company. But it's also an exciting company in a way that it has a very strong R&D and innovation unit. Currently, about 25% of the staff is working for either R&D, engineering, or innovation. And this was already the case in the 1990s, and actually a very clever team of mostly women came up with this idea that diesel could actually also be made from renewable resources. And at the time, the company was not ready to go forward with it, but they did have a patent on it in 1996. And so then in the early 2000s, if you remember, we had the previous big discussion on climate. And at that point, the company was also thinking, what should an oil refining company do to have a future also in a more sustainable future? And they made a really big bet on starting to invest in renewable diesel production. And this is quite a bold move. If you remember that at that point, there was no demand for it because it didn't exist. There was really no legislation to support it. But still, they decided and they invested in this idea big time. So they started building refineries in Porvoo in Finland, in Singapore, and in Rotterdam. It wasn't always smooth sailing, creating a market for a product that nobody was asking for. But then, as I said already, in 2019, that was 80% of the company's profits. So it has turned out to be a really, really good transformation and definitely the right step forward. And the transformation continues. So we are now also aiming at 100% waste and residues as raw materials for our renewables by 2025. We are definitely looking at what is happening on the EU side. So looking at the big climate targets, and we wanted to make our own. So we are now, by 2030, we are aiming at helping our customers reduce their greenhouse gas emissions by 20 million tons annually by 2030. And then we also need to look at our own climate impact, our own carbon footprint. So we're aiming at reaching carbon neutral production by 2035. Because we were looking at, what is our role in the society? What is our role in Finland? And we felt that it wasn't enough to only help others reduce their emissions with our products, but we also needed to look at what we can do to reduce our own. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we're also working with plastics. So we have also set a goal to process more than 1 million tons of waste plastics annually from 2030 onwards. So this is something that we're working on to develop a chemical recycling of the kinds of plastics that currently cannot be recycled mechanically. So this needs to be understood that it's not a competing system, but it's something that would add on as another solution of solving the waste plastic issue. And when I said that when the company was founded, the purpose was securing Finland's oil supply. Today, the company's purpose is creating a healthier planet for our children. And if you take a moment to think about really, this is the purpose of the company, and this is approved by the leadership, by the board, and this is what we're targeting at. This is also something that I believe every single employee is able to say that this is why we come to work every day. So it's something that motivates a lot of us a lot. And it's been quite a transformation, and we've been quite happy to notice that the transformation has been recognized. For example, on the Harvard Business Review, we were listed as one of the top 20 business transformations of the last decade. And it's quite clear that this kind of transformation doesn't happen in isolation. So we needed to find the right partners to work with. How can we take this idea into practice? And these are just some of the companies that we've been happy to work with in this transformation. So we already discussed today that climate change is definitely not going away. It has not gone away while we've been dealing with the pandemic. And I think there was quite a bit of discussion in the beginning of whether climate discussions would fade away. And we've seen this in the past. There was the big discussion about 10, 15 years ago, and then it sort of just went away. But then this new climate discussion that really started with the IPCC report, it is just growing. And even the pandemic has not changed that. And I would even argue that it has become a changing point for where we are going. So this is where we need to prove that sustainability really is something that is part of what we are doing, part of why we exist. And I've been so happy to see that I think there is actually increasing interest in the climate solutions. So in a way, this can be seen as the proof point and sort of a litmus test. How can we move forward from this pandemic towards a more sustainable future? I mentioned that we have our own carbon neutral production by 2035 target. And if we remember that while we are a big producer of renewables, we also still have the oil refining business. So this is quite a challenge. And we actually set this target not by just having a fancy year in mind, but we started looking at, so where are the emissions coming from? We put it into tiny little bits so we know exactly which unit, which production line is causing what kind of emissions. And then we started looking at what could we do about it. And we involved the whole company. So we had a lot of people from production, from innovation, from R&D, from strategy, from the sustainability team, looking at, what can we change and when. And then we were having some workshops and we had more than 100 ideas. And then we looked at the ideas and now we removed some overlapping ones and we have about 70 different initiatives that we can start working on to help us move towards the target. And this is a 15-year project, so it's obviously very important that we have the awareness and the commitment of the entire organization. This is part of our strategy now. It's one of our strategic priorities. So this is really also something that I'm really happy about. We actually announced this target on the 12th of March, the day that basically the world shut down because of the pandemic. And for a little while, I was a little bit annoyed, to be honest. We had been working on this for a very long time, and I felt, well, now that's gone, and we put posters on the walls in the offices, and well, they are still there waiting for people to go back to the offices. But then again, 15 years is a long time. So we have all this time to keep working on these different topics. We also need to make sure that not only our internal people are motivated and know what to do and find their roles, but we also need to make sure that the world around us is ready to move on towards a more sustainable future. So we need to have a policy framework that supports these activities. And it's been very encouraging to see, the targets set by the EU, the targets set by other countries as well. So there seems to be a real momentum for these kind of changes. And we also wanted to make sure that we have a realistic roadmap for our target. So we started looking at how can we move forward. And it's very important to understand that we need to have things that we can do right now. Because if we want to be aligned with the Paris Agreement, we need to halve our emissions in the next 10 years. So it means that while we have a target that is in 15 years' time, we can't just sit here and wait and then start working on it in 2035, but we actually need to get a lot of things done straight away. So we started looking at what can we do now, and there are issues such as aiming for 100% renewable electricity, which is something that we're working on. And we're talking about the electricity that is not necessarily yet available. So this year we have also already signed 3 different agreements on how we will start buying renewable electricity from wind energy parks when they are available. So we need to work together with electricity producers to make sure that this renewable electricity is also available. We also looked at all kinds of different initiatives and for example, on energy efficiency. And then we were thinking, why have not they moved forward before now? And then we realized that we needed to change our internal investment criteria. So first of all, now whenever there is an investment plan, they need to show the greenhouse gas impact so that we know whether this investment is going to be helping or hindering us reaching our target. We also realized that we will be needing some technologies that are not yet there. They are on a piloting stage. So now we are piloting these solutions, renewable hydrogen, carbon capture and utilization. So we need to also start piloting them now so that they will be able to be scaled up nearer to our target year. So it was a very thorough process in setting all these different actions on a timeline. And this is really important for us to have a credible solution to move forward. And then it's really important to understand that big changes don't happen in isolation. So we also need to understand who can we work with. So for developing all kinds of new innovations, we actually have a lot of collaboration with different universities and research institutes. Because while we have a lot of really, really clever people in-house, we also understand that sometimes we need to find other clever people to work with who can complement our knowledge with their own. And I talked about piloting, so we've made investments in smaller companies that already are developing these technologies that we feel are going to be really necessary for the future. And then, for example, this collaboration with Fortum to start building this renewable electricity availability, so to make it really available on an industrial scale. And then we have the other promise, because the one that I just talked about, we call our carbon footprint promise. And then we have our carbon handprint promise. So how can we help our customers reduce their emissions? And this is also something where, while the footprint we're aiming to bring it down, the handprint we're aiming to grow. So we're targeting 20 million tons annually by 2030. So last year we were about 9.6 million tons. So we're about halfway there. And that would be about 3.5 million passenger cars. So that's more than all the cars and vans in Finland, to give it some perspective. We also have been working with different kinds of partners. For example, with the city of Oakland, and I really like this example, where we collect the waste cooking oils from the restaurants in Oakland, and then we turn it into renewable diesel that will then be used in their city fleet, so that the city runs on cleaner fuels that is, well, produced by their own restaurants. We have a similar case with the McDonald's in the Netherlands. So there we are collecting the oil that was used to make French fries, and then we turn it into diesel that is then used by Havi, their logistics company, that then runs on their waste cooking oil. And we've been looking at what can we do ourselves to reduce our own, for example, our business travel. So I mentioned that we have the sustainable aviation fuel available. So we've actually committed to using it for our own business travel. And here we are working together with Finnair to make sure that when we fly out of Helsinki, then we are using the sustainable aviation fuel. And this is also something that there's a lot of discussion on, is it available? Will it be replaced by something else? But it's been a long way to develop and to scale up. And this is always really important, that we need quite a long time perspective. And this is why it's so important to understand that what can we do right now, because we need the solutions right now. And what do we need to start working on so that we will have longer term solutions available also in the future. So with the sustainable aviation fuel, we started piloting with Lufthansa in 2011. And now we're in 2020. And now we are able to have it available on many different locations, both in Europe and in the US. And we've also signed a contract now with a Japanese airline. So this is actually a very global business. And it's also been really nice to see that while obviously the pandemic has had a big impact on the aviation industry, their willingness to commit to a more sustainable future has not gone away. So these are discussions that are very much ongoing, and we've been able to have new partnerships even during the pandemic. And this is also, we're not just working with airlines, we've been working with airports. You know, our first airport was in Oslo. We also needed to find out how can we scale up. Like I keep saying, we need to make sure that it's not just a pilot, we need to bring it to the people. So we needed to find out who are the right distributing partners. So we have a deal with Airbnb and Shell, who are able to distribute to a wider network of potential users. And then we have a lot of different airlines that are already using the solution as well. And similarly, we've had to think about how do we bring a concept, an idea to the market, and it's sort of step by step, drop by drop, station by station, customer by customer. But now in the past 5 years, our customers have been able to reduce their emissions by nearly 40 million tons by using our renewable products. And it's been a wonderful journey. With some of these companies, we've been able to really also talk about it in a way that excites other people to understand that there are solutions out there that we can take into use right now. And what is really important, and we already heard the commissioner talk about, having the need to have a just transition, so that not everybody is able to straight away go and change their fleet, change their cars. So this is a drop-in solution. So this can be used already in existing cars. So it doesn't require a big investment. And similarly to the story where we started with the sustainable aviation fuel with some pilots and then having it available in very few locations, we've been able to grow this from a couple of places in Finland into having 120 stations in Finland and Baltics, and I believe we have 2 in Lithuania, so it's definitely available there as well. And this is an immediate solution. When I keep saying that we need to have the immediate solutions while we also work on the longer term solution. So both are definitely needed. So I wouldn't see there any competition between, for example, this and electric cars. Both are good solutions. We need all of them to be able to meet with the expectations that we need to meet our climate targets. Just very quickly, this is something that speaks to me a lot. We need to understand that we need to aim at big changes. We need a massive transformation to be able to make sure that we meet the climate targets, that we are actually developing a more sustainable future, creating a healthier planet for our children. And this is why we need exponential change. And this is why it's so important that you find the right partners. You look at what can you do and who can help you do more. Yes, that's the only way we can reach this breakthrough corner where we desperately need to be. So summing up, we need to be able to scale up the renewable and circular solutions that we have. We need to be able to really increase innovation and find the right partners who can help us move forward towards the more sustainable future. We need to be able to find the partners with who we can grow these solutions so that we can actually all be part of the better future. So thank you.
Sala, thank you very much. Again, a very, very interesting presentation. And I would even say that music to my ears in many of the topics, really focusing on partnerships, focusing on a long-term strategy, focusing on many, many other sustainable aspects of how the business should be done. Now, a couple of questions from my side. I do see that this is not a short-term strategy, right? You've been working on it for years, and you see quite a strategy up front. Still, putting the perspective of today's discussion, what was, if any, the impact of COVID to your, maybe not the strategy, but the tactics? Has anything changed with pandemics hitting the world?
Well, first of all, I mean, it didn't change the strategy. It's very much still the same strategy. But obviously, there's been a big concern about the well-being of our employees, of our partners, of our suppliers. So we've been able to develop new ways of working, so all working remotely, doing auditing remotely, seeing how we can support our partners. For example, with the airlines, I mean, we understand it's a very difficult situation at the moment. So it's, full speed ahead, but minding these specific circumstances.
Mm-hmm. And I hope that the second question will not be taken negatively from my side or provocatively, but I'm always, looking from what drives sustainability and what are the forces that could move it further into the better state, right? And I'm always kind of pushed and pulled by the question, if the movement towards sustainability is a conscious decision, for us making a world to be a better place, or does it have to be pushed? And when looking to aviation, when looking to oil industry, I think that there is a great push from the outside, from the governments, from the regulators. Even in Sweden, in the Nordics, there was a movement, Shame to Fly, right? And my question is, where is the balance between being a conscious business and being forced to do something? What is your take on this question?
Well, when you do it voluntarily, you have your own timeline, you have your own means, and you can develop it into a profitable business. If you wait until it's forced upon you, then it's somebody else decides on the timeline. And I think there can be supportive legislations. Like I said, I mean, we are actually very supportive of the EU climate targets because we feel that, these kind of measures can actually help. those companies who are already transforming towards a more sustainable business model. So I think it's, a good discussion to be had in all executive level teams that, do we want to be driving our business, or do we want to wait until somebody else tells us what to do?
Sala, what a nice metaphor to close the discussion on your fuel-driven discussion there. So thank you very much there. I hope that you will stay with us for the panel discussion because, I will still keep some of the questions to you in my pocket for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, so what have we been discussing for now, right? We did have a discussion on the supply chains, on the disruption there, on nearshoring opportunities from the transportation perspective. Just a second ago, Sala closed the discussion about how the oil industry and fuel industry is transforming there. And I think that the next presentation by Eimantas Kudulas, the CEO of Klaipėda Free Economic Zone, will put a nice piece into the puzzle on how we, from the production, from the investment attraction perspective, can put a nice touch on our production, our facilities, our things that we create here in Lithuania can be more sustainable and bring more opportunities to Lithuania. So Eimantas, very happy to have you here, and the floor is yours.
Excellencies, dear colleagues, thank you for this opportunity to participate in this partnership meeting, I think, where companies and people who really care and already did some jobs on sustainability. I was invited to this meeting because we have received recognition by Financial Times Magazine as one of the best top free economic zones in Europe who have sustainability agenda. It is not done. Things we were doing, we were planning, we were making initial projects, but it was more like a recognition for our thinking and for our future plans, as well as for our customers, what customers did already in working in a free economic zone in sustainability area. So it is not only us as a Klaipėda Free Economic Zone, it's more our community we received this recognition. And Lina from Norwegian Chamber kindly invited me to present my case. I can push this one. Oh, no. A little bit about Free Economic Zone. We are leading Free Economic Zone in the Baltic States. A leading Free Economic Zone in the Baltic States. What we are very proud of, because we are most international Free Economic Zone. We have companies from 18 countries. 18 countries, it doesn't mean that Lithuanians are excluded. More than 8 to 10 companies are from Lithuania. We are one of the biggest, as an area, we are one of the biggest employees in the city and in the region. We are bringing not only new investment, but also economical development for the city. We started from the point when majority of companies were coming to the Baltics and Lithuania and Klaipėda mainly for cheap and qualified labor force. But after that, it came new phases of development when more and more companies were bringing here not only production units, but also research and development facilities, testing facilities, and companies who are more investing in R&D and prototype development than not only development. And naturally, as a manager of a territory, as a developer of a territory, we should follow up our customers. It was the last question for Sala, who pushed you or facilitated you to sustainability agenda. So in our case, I wouldn't say that it was push, but it was facilitation from different angles. But we were already ready as a company to follow this agenda. Of course, the first facilitator is always the customer, because our customer were ready to move to this direction. So, and our customers were ready to pay for the sustainability agenda. So we have going wrong direction. I would like to be back. Yeah. Was trying to be too quick. Sorry, Ludi. We already have a list of companies who invested to sustainability projects and sustainability products as well. We have company which is producing biofuel. We have company which is producing electric buses. We have companies which are investing of recycling to plastics, and we have companies who are changing already raw materials for raw materials which are non-oil raw materials for plastic industry production. We, as a best case scenario of our customer, is a company which is going to produce electric bus, and we're not only going to produce electric bus, but we're going to use 100% renewable energy for powering these electric buses. These electric buses we already produced, where structure is already produced from recycled material. So there is already a gene, not only in management company and not so much in management company, as much in our community of our companies which are going to this agenda, and we have no choice as to follow. So if you are ready, you are facilitated by your customers, you follow the agenda, because in any case there is no chance for your sustainable business future. And as well, we should say that it feels that at the moment companies are ready to pay. Our PET producers, we would not be able to invest in new renewable projects if Coca-Cola or Pepsi would not be investing to the new products and would not agree to buy them more expensively. We feel that there is a time when more and more companies are paying for that, a little bit more expensive products, but just to be on a sustainable agenda. Another part of our, let's say, facilitators is the community which is living around. In any case, we're industry hub. We have 44 projects which are producing industrial goods, which are production factories, not only research and development. Naturally, it affects people around. Naturally, it creates question in a community around. And very naturally, we should be having our project of good neighborhood. That's the only chance for us to be in a future, as to participate in daily dialogue with the people who are living around, explain them what companies are doing here, why we're doing here, what agenda do we have, and how do we affect their lives. Society, I think, in Klaipėda, in Lithuania, 3 years ago, started to be more active, and not only more active, but also more professional in the discussion. First discussions, maybe we're a little bit learning from each other, how to communicate, what to present, what to tell, but now we are in daily contact. And again, there is no any other way. This is the only way how companies and industry should communicate with citizens, with neighbors who are living around, because people are changing. We are more interested in good life around, and good environment around, and this is a very natural process in which we all as industry and every company should be involved. Second point, which pushed our thinking to sustainability agenda, was that we started to put, I like this slide actually, we put it all the major, let's say, points from Vilnius, from Klaipėda to our free economic zone territory, and we could see that we're not industrial park. We're not only free economic zone, we're building city in a city, because, let's say, Acropolis, Seimas, bigger shopping centers, everything could fit to this territory. So this is not a short-term project initially. This is long-term development, and long-term development not only as industrial park, but as a part of a city. It's our decision how the city will look in the future, how the face of a city will look in the future. Will we make some kind of scarf on the face, or will we make it soft, nice, and friendly? And this is our choice. This is our choice and our customer's choice. And naturally, you cannot damage your own city. So naturally, you should go to sustainability agenda, and again, to be friendly to the environment, to the neighborhoods, and to work together with companies in order to create it. So one of the directions which we're choosing is to be smart and safe. And one of the reasons why we're choosing to this direction is because of people whom our customers would like to invite to work in this area. People, and especially new generation, are not coming only for money. We are, of course, coming for a nice working place, and we are coming also for cool working place. So if this place is not cool anymore, it's much worse. If your working facility is not cool anymore, you have much less chances to invite the talents which you want. So if our customers want to invite the best people in Klaipėda or in Lithuania, and not only in this region to work, naturally we should follow the same agenda. And with new generation of people, we have no chance as to be smart, green, and safe in the future. Starting now and moving to the future. Again, we are a big territory. We can do commercial area, we can do industrial park, we can do science and innovation camps. But because we are building a city in a city, we decided to move to all of three these directions. Again, it's our strategy. It's not now. It's step by step since 2-3 years, but this is a strategic plan for next 10-15 years. On green FEZ, we called ourselves Green FEZ 4.0 as our customers, which are going to this direction, called the Industry 4.0. We plan to change the FEZ. Our thinking is changing. Of course, we will be having much more green landscaping in the future. Of course, instead of putting water to the pipes, we will make natural water around. Of course, we'll increase green areas. Of course, we'll put some requirements for buildings to be built for future. And that's agenda which is already in our, let's say, in our strategic plan. And again, I think what Sala mentioned, that's, it's not push, it's facilitation and our own choice. But we are moving to this direction altogether. Customers, people who are working here, neighbors who are around, and ourselves. This is community work to do this job together. This is how we looked 2-3 years ago. This is kind of a sustainability circle. A lot of investment to infrastructure, some investment to the services. And this is how we would like to look in coming 3-5 years. So we would like to repair these angles which are not yet enough developed. Or it's included also economical development, people relations. We should follow all the angles of this circle, not making it as much equal as possible. We are following these KPIs. We included that in our daily routine, and I'm sure that in 3-5 years we'll be at a point where we are planning, where we would like to be. It was a question about COVID. Once again, I don't think that COVID is it's a strategy change. It's more like for us and for my companies, it was like more crisis management. So if you have your strategic goals already selected, you are not changing them, but you are sharpening attention to unpredictability to the future and making some crisis management measures right now. But in any case, agenda was already on the list. It has not changed, and it will continue. I should say from a pipeline point of view that I think that majority of companies and potential investors have already decided that crisis will be managed, and it will be managed positively, because the pipeline has not been, the pipeline of potential investors has never been so big as it was before. Before, July, August was not our working months. Usually it was a vacation months, especially in Europe. But this year, it was a month, July, August, September, when companies were making decisions to invest. It means we're brightly looking to a future, and also we're brightly looking to the agenda which we're presenting to them. Thank you, and it's an honor to participate in that discussion.
Thank you very much. Don't leave the floor, please, because I think that we will be moving to the panel discussion, but I still have a question to you. Is the mic on? Can you hear it, guys? Yeah, I hope that it's on now. So following with the question. Firstly, congrats with the presentation. Congrats with the forward-looking strategy. I think that I'm not surprised that you were awarded as the best free economic zones. Well done. Very proud of you. The question, do you, and if yes, how do you capitalize on the sustainability strategy? And where is the question coming on? I think that it was the commissioner and the ambassador and the others mentioning that sustainability can become the competitive edge. So is it? Do you feel that sustainability brings more competitiveness to you?
First of all, I think sustainability agenda for us, it's like a necessity case for survival in the future. It's not like we could think about it, but if we would like to be face of a future, we should keep this agenda in order to invite the customers for a future. As I mentioned in my presentation also, it's already pays off. Clients are ready to pay for that agenda. We are ready to pay, and we would like to come to areas which fits to their thinking. If you would like to invite Neste to Lithuania, and you have seen what kind of company it is, naturally you should be yourself like Neste, or at least we would like to plan like Neste. So it pays off, it's a strategy of a future, and I'm sure it's necessary to do.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Eimantas, take the seat. I would also like to invite Rokas to the floor as well, because we will be moving to the panel discussion here and start the panel discussion. Now, looking at the audience, I have to excuse myself, there, that the diversity of the panelists, at least on stage, is not that broad. However, I must assure you all that those who are joining us live, virtually, we will have a rather balanced, diverse panelist discussion there. So keep our fingers crossed that you will support us with being diverse in our panel discussions. Now, some of the maybe rules on how the panel discussion will be run, right? Because for some of the panelists you have already seen on stage, and I'm very happy to again discuss those philosophical and practical questions with all of them. But there will be a number of new speakers and panelists joining us. Very shortly to present them from my side, and I will give them a word to really talk about themselves. So we will have the managing director at Volvo Lithuania, Nicolas Rosenberg-Kjær, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly, joining us live virtually. Also, Ms. Romualda Stragienė, the CEO and co-owner of the Bioc Laboratory, will be joining us. We do have Rokas, we do have Eimantas, but also we will have Rūta Jucienė, the Global Key Account Manager for Europe at SAS, joining us as well, because we have been talking about the aviation there, so it will be very, very interesting to get the perspective from Rūta. Now, the key questions from my side, and I think that you will have some minutes to prepare and rethink those. So, getting on the key topic of today. Impact of COVID on sustainability. So what are the lessons learned to be sustained in the new normal? So maybe you could share at the openings, what are those? What are the key takeaways from the spring moment, for the new wave that we have currently? So what are the lessons learned? One. And then the second wave of question that I will be trying to provoke you in is, so what is the push? What is the pull? What is the facilitation needed? We've seen in the best strategies, both from Eimantas, from Sala, that we have to build the community, right? So what community is needed? Is there the EU necessity to be there? Is there a national governments have to be there constantly and to push the agenda? How do we build a sustainable ecosystem for sustainability? So now, I think that, putting the stress on the diversity, I would like to invite maybe Romualda Stragienė, the CEO and the co-owner of Bioc Laboratory, to join us with the first 2-3 minutes of her self-presentation, the elevator speech maybe, and really putting the points of why sustainability and how sustainability became more important in COVID situation.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to take part in this conference because sustainability was on our agenda for quite some time. It's not something new. It didn't happen during COVID, but this crisis, this a big change, it gave us a clear view about our strengths and weaknesses. And actually, I must say, we understood how little we knew about our suppliers, for example. Suppliers was not on our top priorities list because we identified other strategic stakeholders. And during this shift, we just shifted very quickly to the suppliers, and we had a very little time to understand, to get information, who they are. And we were surprised how many suppliers actually come from the faraway countries. Even if we buy materials from Italy, it appeared that they came to China firstly, and it was just the intermediate point. So it was a very, very fast and quick analysis of our supply chain. And I was very surprised to see how many ingredients came from very different parts of the world. We thought it's a very simple chain, and like you can order it like a pizza, just if you need a truck of plastic bottles. But well, it appeared that it is not so simple anymore. It's much more complicated. It's very international. and we had quite some challenges to deal with supply chain. From the other side, we are supplier ourselves, and we had clients who were very anxious about the deliveries because our product was the product what everyone needed, the hand soap, the sanitizers. So we had to be very fast and very flexible. And I'm glad that we managed to fulfill the demand of our partners and customers. And it was very important to give what we promise. And of course, safety and health of employees is still #1 priority, and it's on my agenda on everyday list. So that's why I work from home and don't have any unnecessary contacts. And I'm happy I can talk online because we all went digital very quickly, and that was not a problem. What the challenge is, I see that I can't produce a product remotely, and my people, they have to go to production and they face and risks and uncertainty. And for the future, I see that I need more robots. And automatization is on my agenda, as well as digitalization. This is maybe the priority I would like to go on further, discuss with on national level, on international level, because I see some efforts coming from the government with support, but it is not enough, and that would be also a challenge, an opportunity to have more robots because they go to work every day.
Thank you very much,
I
Ruta.
think shortly from my side.
Yeah, thank you, Ruta. Very quick question, because I think that every one of us who are, experiencing the situation currently with COVID, with the remote work, do you believe that you will shift to, remote working, teleconferencing, even after COVID, or will the, old normal come back?
Yes, we are working now on our project of our new facility, production and office. It will be outside Vilnius, and we just made the last changes that we don't need so much office space anymore. We created the office space for collaboration. The new building will be for meetings, for brainstorms, for communication sessions, but less for this normal regular seats with tables and computers, because you can have the same table and computer at home. So we are planning to have a mix model, because only working from home is not also satisfactory. I see also quite many disadvantages in it.
Okay. So I think that as everything in sustainability has to be balanced, right? So working remotely should not be radicalized, but there should be a nice balance between, having the remote opportunities of joining, but also having the physical presence in the offices. Ruta, I will be coming back to you, and thank you very much for the opening ideas here and the sharing your practice. Now, Nicholas, are you with us? Can you
I
share?
hope so.
Yeah, we can see you. Hi, Nicholas.
Hi.
Can you start, with the same question from my side and sharing how Volvo, was impacted by COVID, and what was the angle of sustainability that helped you?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for being able to participate in this interesting summit. We in the Volvo Group, we was in the beginning of the pandemic, we took our role in this very seriously. And our job was at that moment to keep all trucks running. So all of us, as a private person, we could get goods out in the supermarket, we could get medicine and hospital equipment and so on, pick up things in Italy, as it was mentioned, and bring it here. But back to your question, what we have learned, we have of course learned, I think as everyone else, that it is possible to work with less traveling, with online meetings. We have, in the meanwhile and the last half a year, implemented a lot of electronic systems, signatures we can today do online instead of sending papers forwards and backwards. I'm also sure that we'll go back to the new normal and again start traveling. But I'm sure that this period has learned us that it's not needed to travel so much. And I hope for the traveling industry that the business will grow and we will continue having that business for you in the future, and we'll find new ways. But we as a company in Volvo Group will not have the same demand for traveling and going out on the roads in Lithuania and visit our other sites as we did before, but it will still be needed.
Thank you, Nicholas. And maybe another touch from my side, because this is for Volvo as a transportation company, as a company who produces, auto vehicles. This sounds how should I put it, as a clash, right? Because you as a transportation company are saying that you will be less traveling, right? So from strategic point of view, not for the office in Lithuania and how you arrange work, how do you see this impacting COVID impacting Volvo in general from strategic point of view?
From strategic point of view, I don't think it has changed a lot. We have one of our three core values is environmental care. So, and we have implemented a lot of sustainable solutions. And I have to, based on I think it was our former Minister of Transport and Commerce, Mr. Siulis, sorry if I didn't say it correct, your name, but electrical trucks we can offer today. There is electrical trucks from 3.5 ton to 32 tons total weight already today. So if anyone have the interest for an offer or interest in that area, then feel free to come to us or our sister company Renault Trucks. We have solutions for that. So back to your question. We have a strategy. We have followed the strategy we won in 2040, and that has been emphasized 2 months ago from our president, exactly what to do. And I think this pandemic crisis gave us the opportunity to think a little bit and then put also things on paper. And in 2040, and that's not in our industry so many years ahead of us, we are going to produce and deliver trucks that is 100% carbon neutral. So this is a clear statement, a clear strategy, or maybe in this last month it has been more specific what we want to do.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. And I think that, Nicholas, I will follow up on these ideas, the strategic ones from you, and how to build a sustainable ecosystem later in our discussion. Ruta, moving to the aviation, I think that aviation was and still is one of the industries which was hit most severe, right? I think that, at some point of time, there was like 90% of the aircraft fleet grounded globally. The recovery is very fragile, and then it's obvious that this pandemic was one of the biggest hits to aviation ever. So, Ruta, what is your take, right? Will aviation survive? Will, as always, it will become stronger and bigger? And can sustainability help to fight pandemic?
Yes. Thank you for questions. Thank you for giving me opportunity to be here and share my thoughts. It's important to say that current situation means that many in our industry is actually fighting for survival. The world is different, and as you say, and we hear also a lot of voices raised that when planes are grounded, the emission is down by 60 to 70%. And somebody say it's fantastic, it's good for the planet, and I agree, it is good with the less emission. But what about what we see, paralyzed world, economies, affected people's lives, jobs, our mental health? So I would say that flying less is not a solution. We need to find a solution when we fly more with less impact on environment. That's what the most important message what I see.
And Ruta, I'm fully with you, right? But maybe because there is a very nice bridge and connection with the presentation of Sala when she was speaking about partnerships, and some of the airlines were the partners there. And coming back to the four pillars of sustainability, we have not only environment, which is vital, crucial in aviation, but what has helped and what is helping you to survive there, other than the focus on environment. And by that, I will specify the question: does partnerships, the focus to people, is something that you focus on to come out stronger after the pandemic?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, first of all, it's biggest, of course, investment is our new modern fleet, which produce less emission. But as you said, secondly, we working a lot for the new technologies, and here we were working with the partners, and biofuel is one of examples where we are working with the partners to produce more biofuel in the markets. Another project is future electrical aircraft. Here we are jointly working with Airbus to identify areas where we could adapt electrical airplanes for commercial aviation. And of course, which is a very important part is our products and services, where could we help our customers to jointly be more sustainable. And here it's like we are offering our customers to invest in biofuel as well when they are flying. So it's a lot of projects and a lot of happening.
Good to hear that, Ruta. I will be coming back to you with the other questions there, so thank you for the opening remarks. And by the way, for those who have not seen, the Airbus emission-free aircraft just look wonderful, right? So,
Yeah.
just Google them out. They are not only sustainable, but they are awesome to look at and hopefully to fly in. Rokas, coming back to you. We've been, speaking to you, and the presentation was very focused on your former position as the former minister, right? But you are also the professional board member, right? So if we would switch the hats or the, whatever we have on the faces, right? And we would switch to you as a professional board member, right? What are the key takeaways maybe from the discussion that you heard of really capitalizing on pandemic, and then taking out the lessons learned to be more sustainable? What are the key things that you've heard today?
I think many lessons will be learned. Many businesses will learn their own lesson, especially those who learned a hard lesson. Restaurants, gyms, aviation companies, of course, they will learn their own lesson, as we had what manager from Volvo was saying. They will travel less. I hear so many stories that people are saying, look, we have saved so much money without traveling. We even made bigger profits than before pandemic just because we canceled all our business trips. So for the future, we're all planning less business trips and saving more money. But I think people are people. You can't bet against nature of human being. We're social beings. We need to communicate. We need to see people person on person. So yes, we will switch a little bit more to Zoom, maybe a little bit less traveling, because we have learned that we can come around without it. But my bet would be that we will all go back to normal, what has been before, with slight adjustment from what we have learned, which might be fading in the future as well.
Okay.
So my bet would be that we'll go back to normal.
Very interesting, Rokas. But then, right, we as leaders, we as the board members, the CEOs, the executives, what is our role to manage the craziness of rushing to, again, for the profitabilities, for the growth, etc. What is our leadership role to manage this craziness and to, put more sustainability, at least, when we have an option A and option B, which is faster, better in terms of the social life and connectivity, but less sustainable, and maybe a little bit less, effective, but more sustainable. Is there a role for the executives and leaders to put more sustainability?
Of course, leaders telling the companies where they are going, how they look at the world, and how they treat the world, and their business philosophies are very important. There is a very good saying, nothing can stop an idea which time has come. I believe that sustainability, green energy idea has come. It's clearly already in the air. It's on the mind of people. As I said before in my presentation, that if we hear somebody buying a diesel car, we already think something is wrong about it, because you should be, or if this person is bragging that, look, I have bought a new car and it's diesel, it's already not a good example. So, and this will grow and grow. We see European leaders, American leaders, everybody's talking about it. Pope is even talking about it. So this idea has come. This idea has come. I can give another example. Idea of electric vehicles has come. When I was a Minister of Transportation, everybody was saying, look, you have to give as much as possible subsidies for people to buy electric vehicles. And I thought, look, if you support electric vehicles here in Lithuania, whom you would support? You would support somebody else's production, not Lithuanian. There are no components produced in Lithuania, no vehicles produced in Lithuania. Now, yes, we see a dancer from Klaipėda, maybe others. But you better need to build infrastructure where you can put government money into infrastructure. So that would be a perfect ground for electric vehicle operation. And since idea is already so strong, it will grow by itself, whatever you do something about it or not. That's what I believe. That if idea is already there, you can't stop it. And I believe it's already there with sustainability and Green Deal.
Thank you, Rokas. I've put it in bold letters for myself here that, the time has come. We have to capitalize on this. Eimantas, I think that, I would echo the same question what I've given to Rokas, because you are not only the creator of free economic zone and the facilitator of the environment there, but you are also the leader, right, of the company, the team there. How and what are the key topics for you when you are talking about your team and manage your team?
One of the things which I kind of find out now when colleagues were discussing, that it looks that COVID crisis is bringing future quicker. So things which we have kind of postponed, or we thought that we can delay measures of Industry 4.0, we cannot postpone anymore. We need to go quicker for automatization. We need to go quicker for digitalization and whatever new instruments this environment is proposing to us, our industry. So that's one of the lessons. Second lesson, which I also learned from colleagues which were speaking, that strategy prevails strong short-term decisions and short-term planning. So any company which doesn't have strong strategic goals, which includes also sustainability and also risk assessment, because future is much more unpredictable now. It's one more reminding. You don't know what will happen in 2-3 years. So it means you always should have plan B in your pocket, not just somewhere, but in your pocket, because maybe in 2-3 months and a half a year, it will be necessary to use. The last lesson, which we all learned, that leadership which is ready to change and adopt quick is playing a key role, as well as closeness and development of your team, which gives a backbone for every company, it's also crucial. And it's one more reminding that how you work with your people, how you work with your team, how you treat them, how you work with them, it's also key important aspects. One more reminder.
Good. Thank you very much, Heymantas. Sala, I'm sure that you are still with us. Are you? No, she's not. Unfortunately, I had some, tricky questions in my pocket for her as well. But I'm sure that we will have a separate teleconference with her on this here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think that looking at the watch, we have some 10 minutes there left, and I would be more than happy to spend another like 2 and 3 hours discussing the topics there. But for the sake of time, I promised to the commissioner that we will not only have the discussion, and that we will come back with the key thoughts and the key topics, right? How we can have more sustainability after COVID. And I think that I will give the questions like twofold question, and I hope that it will not complicate but help. So one, what can we take out of COVID? This is one part of the question. And I think that, building on the presentations of all of you, how can we have more partnerships? Push and pull agenda, right? Do we need a push? Does the push have to be sustained? Or can we build, and how then, a more sustainable ecosystem that sustainability would flourish by itself? Romualda, as you were the first with the first round of the questions there, can I have your thoughts on these two questions? Key lessons learned, one. Any suggestions on how we could build a better ecosystem?
Oh, that's a hard question, but in general, I would say you have to be flexible and consistent at the same time. That is not easy to make because we anticipate there will be still a lot of uncertainty next year, because during our budget we see that we have very high uncertainty level. But anyway, we have to be very consistent with our strategy. And if we have a vision, if we have strategic goals, so we have to be stuck, and we have to not to lose the hope that we are doing the good thing, we are doing the right thing despite the COVID. Although I hear like we don't have something because of the COVID, but we do some other things and we have other results because of the COVID. So we have to see both opportunities and also with sustainability. So if it's on your agenda, so please keep up with it and don't lose this small initiatives or projects that everyone is doing. So I think it's very general, but I don't see any other ways how to live during this.
Yeah. And Romualda, maybe leaning towards the partnerships there. Do you, as the company?
Partnerships, well, I think it must come very natural. You can't force any business unit into partnership which is very strange or it doesn't fit the values or strategy or aims. I believe in partnerships, and I see them like a big value to company, but it must come very natural, and the business company should see the opportunities and take them. If you don't see it, you can't force them, because with fake partnerships we don't lead to any good outcomes.
Good. Thank you very much, Romualda. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for being with us. Second, Nicholas. Nicholas, we had you as the second. I think that we will be consistent in how the answers are given up.
Yeah.
I hope that we have Nicholas.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we have you.
Good. First of all, our learnings, our biggest learnings, because I think there are many learnings in when you go through such a crisis. But I would say that it's impressive how flexible and I'm very proud of our colleagues, our 110 colleagues in Lithuania and 100,000 in the world, how fast we can change and fast we can do different things when the purpose and the reasons are clear and we have strong leadership. And of course, all the reasons was clear here in the COVID situation. All media made sure for all of us it was clear. And I think it's a little bit the same when it comes to sustainability. If the reasons are clear and we are putting up for everyone, also the consumers, why we have to do a change, and maybe go a little bit away from this scary scenario that the sustainability topic also have touched, that I simply don't believe in. We need to be realistic and we need to have clear reasons for why should we do things. Then things will also move, and we have seen that in the crisis, based on a tragical background, of course. And then it's leadership from all of us, and then I come to partnership. Of course, it's very important that we have partnership. I find Neste's presentation here very interesting because it's touching our products. If we could go hand in hand, and we are going hand in hand and making trucks that can drive with alternative fuels, biofuels or chemical fuels, gas, all kind of environmental friendly solutions, yeah, then we will of course succeed. And this goes also hand in hand with the politicians and the whole society, and in the end the consumers, because if they don't demand that we are going for a change, then it will not happen.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you for being with us today. Ruta, right? I think that, aviation, for aviation, at least for me, the biggest lesson learned was that you have to have a bigger pillow, underneath yourself when you fall, because it was a very painful fall for the aviation. But maybe I'm mistaken. What are your takeaways there? What are the key lessons learned on the pandemics to aviation?
Well, as you already mentioned, that we had very hot down in the beginning of March. We were almost grounded all airplanes, and good leadership in that perspective from our leaders and from my colleagues, employees, showed that most of employees of the cabin crew actually went to work for the hospitals in Scandinavia. So it showed that how quickly we can adapt and help societies. But it was at the beginning. But now, I mean, I believe that we will have to fly more to connect businesses, to connect people. And here, as I already said, that there we have to find the path how we can fly more environmentally friendly with more or new sustainable products and services. And as I already mentioned, that here we are very much in partnership, with the producers of biofuel or the new electrical aircrafts, but also it's where we are working very much with the partnership with our corporate customers, where we give them opportunity as well to invest in biofuel in them travel, but also offsetting CO2 for all frequent travelers. So it's we can't do alone. I mean, we all are integrated. We are all need to work together.
Thank you, Ruta. So this is another phrase that I will put in bold letters for myself for the wrap up, that we are all in this together, right? We cannot be alone, right? So as in pandemics, both for the sustainability, the more we are together, the better the result is. So I hope that I can borrow this, thought from your side, Ruth, and thank you very much once again for being with us. Now, gents, last but not least, right? Both of you here being with me on stage. What are your key takeaways here? And maybe building on the next question, how we from the different layers of the society, supranational EU level, national level, industry level, personal level, um, what do you think are the driving forces? What are the crucial elements, that can capitalize on sustainability? Who should be the driver? Who should be sitting in the driving position?
Maybe I'll repeat myself what I have said before. When idea is there, it starts growing and getting in all aspects of your life. And climate change, climate situation makes us to act one way or another in almost all aspects of our life. It's not that it's not only you're not taking plastic bags in the supermarket, but as a leader, you're inspiring your people to think of any possibility to be greener and to implement sustainability in your business. So you can't be specific on something here. It just has to flow into everything. How you think, how you plan, how you live. Only then it will become a reality everywhere. And I believe that this is a path which humanity is taking now. I don't know whether it's possible to overdo it, as people are very good at overdoing everything. So we will see that.
Okay. Eimantas.
Sorry, but I would very much echo Rokas. I don't see one driver, but during the COVID and coming to a new reality, I think in our case, we kind of learned that it could be, everybody should be a leader, but at the same time, the leaders need to cooperate with each other. And with this stress test, which was especially during the first wave, I think it showed a good example. Working together, working in closer partnership, we can do much more than just working alone and not paying attention to your closest neighbors or stakeholders. So I very much hope that in a new reality, we'll keep these relations and not will wait until the new stress tests in order to maintain them, but maintain them daily and try not to see to one leader, but do yourself and to go a path which you have chosen, and then somebody else will join next to you. And this next to each other partnership is most fun for me.
Thank you very much. Now, looking at the time, I think that we're there. So I will be wrapping up with some of the key ideas that stick to my head, and I hope that you have many more, and we'll be able to comment there during the presentation. What are the key things that you have taken for yourself? Because yes, we will be, documenting them and bringing forward that these would be implemented on all the levels there. But some of the key takeaways for myself, an idea borrowed from Rokas. The idea has come, so this is the time when we can have more and live on the, live out on the environmental topic and implement it to the full extent. Now, the other angel or the devil, which is sitting on my shoulder, has another comment to this idea. Why do we have to wait for the crisis to be the topic to become so relevant? Environment is on the edge, and only now this idea has become so bold that we cannot avoid. So my sincere hope as a citizen, as a person, is let us not wait for another crisis, right? And let's proactively, as leaders, think about what we can do on the other pillars of sustainability, on people, on society, on business integrity and corporate governance. Then the second idea, which I will borrow from Eimantas, is COVID being a catalyst. I think that during the discussion we have seen that COVID by itself, for those companies who were on the strategic path, did not change much if they were having the strategic focus on sustainability. they were capitalizing it, and they were more successful on their strategies. And this is proved by the international awards that the companies are receiving there. Yes, COVID can, and any other crisis can become a catalyst there, but you have to be with the sustainability in your minds, not when the crisis hits, but years before that. The third idea, I think that was, presented by all of the presenters today, leadership and having a plan B, right? We have to think forward. We have to be prepared, and we, as leaders, we all as leaders, and it does not matter what hat do you wear, which level are you in, whether you are the commissioner, whether you are the CEO, whether you are a decent citizen and entry level worker. If we show the leadership, if we bring the ideas together and to the table, the ideas will come quicker and they will flourish better. So having said that, I'm really happy for today's discussion. I'm really happy for the summit that we had. I've seen that we had more than 300 viewers, peaking up to more at the peak times there. And I think that, my heart screams with joy that, this is the opportunity that we never had. In the President Palace, we could fit 100 speakers and listeners there. In other, physical locations, we could fit a little bit more. But I think that this is the opportunities that we're facing, and saying that we can combine this and have more of the participation, of being together, and having more sustainability. So let's capitalize on the crises, and have more of everything what is good. Thank you very much, everyone, and hope to see you next year. Hopefully, on the hybrid situation as well, both virtually and physically. Thank you very much. Gents?